You awaken from a blank, featureless sleep, sweat-soaked and starving. You feel uneasy, but you can't say why. Groggily, you heave yourself out of bed. Oh, no, sick dreams tonight? That's rad. I love that. Hey, Dunko. You find Wu sitting on his bed and staring at the floor when you come to his cabin. He rubs his head up and back, occasionally stopping to softly bounce his palm against his forehead. When he notices you, he closes his eyes and shakes his head.
Not in the mood to talk right now. I gotta wrap my brain around this Edward Sang thing.
Let's talk about something else then.
Not right now, Bubuski. I don't want to talk about our last run of the Walled City or the Triads or anything else. I just gotta think. Work through this.
Wu clenches his jaw.
16 years. We lived with him 16 years and we never knew the man. 16 motherfucking years.
He drops his gaze to the floor again.
Talk to you later.
Alright. That's chill. Chill vibe. Good vibe. Let's go talk to... Isabel, do you have anything new to say? No, you don't. Okay, Gobbit. As you enter Gobbit's cabin, two things grab your attention. The first is Gobbit herself. She looks exhausted, bleary-eyed. The easy smile that you've come to associate with her is nowhere to be seen. The second is what she's doing. Gobbit appears to be in the middle of a valiant attempt to stuff a whole roasted duck into a saucepan half its size. The bird's rubbery neck flops from side to side with every heave of her shoulders. She looks up from the saucepan, blinking. A corner of her mouth twitches upward, but the half-smile falls away almost immediately. Oh, hey, Seattle. Caught me at a bad time. I was just making dinner. Yeah, it looks that way. Wouldn't that work better if you cut it into smaller pieces first? Huh? She blinks down at the duck, and her mouth dips into a frown. Yeah, that'd probably be smarter, wouldn't it? I'm, not really thinking clearly today. You feeling okay? You don't look well. Ugh. She rubs the bridge of her nose with a pair of greasy fingers, leaving smudges of duck fat behind. It's weird. Ever since our last lesson, I've felt, I don't know, preoccupied with the sinking ship. I don't really do the whole haunted by the demons of my past thing. I mean, that's for some people, but I'm allergic to drama. Generally, when thoughts of the past get me down, I remind myself that it doesn't matter, laugh it off, and go have a snack. But this... I don't know, it's weird. Ever since our last lesson, I haven't been able to get the sinking ship out of my mind. She looks down at the pot full of mangled duck on the counter, closes her eyes. I guess I'm just worried about Kat and Mal, which is weird because why would I be? I mean, I haven't even spoken to them in years. Hell, if anything, they should be worried about me. I am the one who gets shot at for a living. Maybe we should go check it out. The sinking ship isn't far, is it? No, I don't want to do that. At least, not without a good reason. It'd be awkward, and I'm sure that it's nothing anyway. Actually, check that. I know what this is. It's my own personal version of the same thing that we're all feeling. The psychic sewage that's being dredged up in all of us by whatever's happening in the Walled City. I'm sure that you've had some flashes of memory from the Barrens in your bad dreams, right? Images from your past come back to haunt you, but you aren't going to drop everything and go running back there because that would be dumb. So tell me, why should I? Because the sinking ship is like 15 minutes from here. It couldn't hurt to check. Look, I don't want to go back there if I don't have to. If thinking about the place is enough to mess with me like this, I don't want to know what being there will do. But I'll tell you what, I'll drop Malvina a line just to check in. Make sure that this is a me problem and not a them problem. And if there is something going on, I promise, you'll be the first to know. Alright, Gobbit, if that's how you want to play it. It is. Now, was there anything else that you wanted, or can I get back to my duck? Any thoughts about the last run? I've never had a chance to go to Shangri-La before. Too ritzy for a little street rat like me. And you know what? I'm kind of okay with that. All those stuffed shirts and fancy food are nice, but give me a cheap corner stall any day. I did pocket some of their silverware, though, and a teapot. The talon was a real piece of work. Glad to see that guy put in the ground. He made my skin crawl, like he was the kind of guy who'd torture animals for fun. Even the 289 seemed a little scared of him. I doubt anybody's gonna shed tears over him for too long. Alright. So I guess we do Gobbet's personal quest next time. That's exciting. Gobbet's personal quest is quite good. Doesn't hold a candle to Glory's personal quest, unfortunately, but it's still pretty good. Again, the shop is quiet. No hammering of metal, no whine of heavy machinery. Nothing but the sound of your own footsteps and the low electrical hum of Raptor's work terminal. The monitor above the work desk is alive with vibrant imagery. Graphs, technical readouts, and reference images fill the screen. He looks up at you, his face bathed in the blue light of the display.
Ah, hello again, my friend. Back for more answers? I can take the time to talk if you can.
I want to continue our discussion from last time. There are some loose ends that we need to tie up.
Yes, my friend, I suppose there are. Go on then, ask your questions. And let us see where your inquiries take us.
Right. The last time we spoke, you told me that essence loss didn't hurt you. I want to know why.
Yes, I did tell you that, and I do owe you an explanation.
He turns his head slightly, peers at you through the corner of his eye.
Tell me, my friend, what do you know about essence loss and its effect on the metahuman psyche?
Losing essence kills a part of you. The more cyberware you get, the more detached you become from reality. I don't like this. This is the one aspect of both Shadowrun and Cyberpunk that I'm not a super big fan of, because it gives the implication that, like, if you were to get a prosthetic, you are automatically less than you were before. Which I think is kind of bullshit and kind of gross. Little spoiler here for things that I'm probably going to be doing in the future. If/when I run my own Shadowrun campaign, I'm just going to, like, get rid of this, I think. It's still going to have the impact on magic, I think. I just don't like the whole, like, detached from reality thing. Like, it removes your ability to feel anything. I don't... It's like... The idea of cyberware making you less human is silly to me and seems almost a little bit ableist. Like, if you were to apply this sort of mentality to right now in our universe, this would not track, you know? So, I don't know. It's just not good. I don't like it. It feels icky. But it is a fact of this universe until I get my hands on it, so we have to play along. Losing essence kills a part of you. The more cyberware you get, the more detached you become from reality. He nods.
Yes, that's right. And this detachment can be deeply traumatic for the sufferer. The literature is full of such cases.
He levels his gaze, focuses it on your face. There's a smile on his face, but his eyes are devoid of warmth.
Now, what would you say if I told you that after my accident and subsequent cyber surgery, I felt no different at all? That even in the beginning, I was completely unchanged.
I'd ask if you knew why.
I do, in fact. Would you like to know?
That's why I asked.
I was born with what society has deemed a psychological defect. Out of fear of social repercussions, I spent most of my life hiding it. I still hide it, even now. The lessons of my childhood were not wasted on me, and I know the value of reputation. But since the accident, I have come to recognize this quirk for what it really is. A selective advantage.
What is this defect that you're talking about? Does it have a name?
Absolutely. I was diagnosed as a primary psychopath at the age of 8.
Crochet scuttles forward, brushing up against Raptor's leg. Metal on metal, separated by a thin layer of cloth. The drone's many eyes focus on you, irising wide open and bathing you in a dull red glare.
Well, diagnosed is probably not the correct word. There is no formal diagnosis of psychopath in the DSM, but all of the markers were there. I displayed the complete lack of empathy, on the Davis Interpersonal Reactivity Index, and I scored a perfect 40 on the PCLR. A blood test showed that I had inherited a damaged gene that has been linked with aggressive behavior, and the activity level in my ventromedial prefrontal cortex is vanishingly low. Like autism, psychopathy is a spectrum, not a singular disorder. He dips his head, smiling. But I am definitely on that spectrum. So this is a small thing. This is a good explanation of this sort of thing. And I do like how he doesn't say it. I do like how... So, to a degree, I do like how Ractor's defect, as he puts it, isn't something that he's ashamed of. It's something that he actually views as a advantage. And while Ractor is, I mean, he's personable and he's relatively nice, but he also really seems to like murder. I don't know if this is necessarily good applied to psychopathy, but viewing autism as a strength as opposed to, you know, a weakness or a I'm struggling to find the word right now. Like, not weakness, but like defect, like something that makes you like less than other people. I like viewing mental illnesses and such not as detracting from your humanity, but giving you different advantages for different things. Okay, and so you think that this condition is the reason why you didn't suffer the trauma of essence loss? Yes, my condition is an advantage, one that protected me from the mental trauma of my accident and subsequent reconstruction. The psychological blow of essence loss can be devastating. This mental trauma is ultimately responsible for much of the damage and self-destructive behavior suffered by those who ride the razor's edge. Of course, there is a physical limit to how far the metahuman body can be pushed, but a normal person will reach his mental breaking point far in advance of this. The loss of self, the loss of capacity, is too painful to bear.
But you didn't hit that breaking point.
No, I did not. Indeed, I am quite certain that my breaking point does not exist. What does it matter to me if my capacity for empathy and conscience is stripped away? I never possessed either of those qualities in the first place.
God. The two options that actually continue the discussion are, like, both kind of shitty. Like, I don't like, Ractor may be a psychopath and he may not experience, like, empathy and conscience, but I think Ractor understands the social construct that is a friend. Like, so even if he doesn't have, like, warm... Actually, no, let's ask this. All this time, you've been calling me my friend. Does that word even mean anything to you?
Of course it does. The word has always carried a cerebral meaning. I can understand the concept of friendship and what it means to others. I know how important that feeling is, even if I can't experience it myself. People with my condition, my advantage, are not incapable of bonding with others. The only difference is that we do so on a cerebral level rather than an emotional one. I enjoy our association, and I recognize the advantage in our being allies. I like talking to you. What better reason for us to be friends?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay, so that's exactly what I was thinking. Like, Ractor understands what a friend means societally. And he also, while he doesn't necessarily experience the, like, emotional bond that you have with a friend, he obviously enjoys speaking with us and having, like, discussions. And obviously he sees the benefit of having us as allies. So saying, like, he might not understand what being a friend means is weird to me. Though I guess I am more maybe sort of plugged into that sort of thing than possibly most other people playing this sort of game. So I guess having that question there is for their benefit, not necessarily mine. Nevertheless, Raptor's a very interesting character still, especially with this in mind. Okay, so you say that your mental condition protected you from the trauma of essence loss. Got any proof of that? Yeah. I figured he'd say he is his own proof. I have myself, my own experience. Nearly all of my essence was stripped away in a single stroke, and I didn't even notice. What more do you need? Actual proof. Your subjective experience doesn't qualify. No, I suppose not. But I know it to be true all the same. My hypothesis makes good sense. I have never possessed the sense of humanity that others hold so dear. If having it stripped away is traumatic, then it stands to reason that I would be protected from that trauma. Yeah, like this is definitely the thing that I would say. But I don't have this etiquette, which is very frustrating. Isn't it possible that other factors might have come into play? Yes, of course, but this explanation seems the most likely, does it not? I am certain that, in time, I will be proven right. More certain of it than I have ever been of anything. Call it a matter of faith, I suppose. I dislike the term, but it applies. If that's the way you want to play this, then fine. But don't expect me to buy into your belief system if it isn't based on facts. A fair point, and a fair criticism. In time, I will endeavor to show you the proof of my beliefs. Until then, think of me as you would any other member of the team. Gobbet has her rat, I have this. It is mine, and you cannot take it from me. I wouldn't want to. Like, I feel like that last dialogue option came across a little bit snippy, but I wouldn't want to take it away from him. I mean, as long as Raptor behaves ethically in his pursuit of furthering his knowledge about this specific subject, I have no complaints. It's academically interesting and could help in the advancement of technology, as long as he stays ethical about it. I will say, a psychopath who feels no sense of empathy or conscience seems like they would be far more likely to act unethically in the name of science, especially when this science takes the form of like a faith. But I have no follow-up to that, actually. That seems really bad. Any thoughts about that last run? A reasonably pleasant outing. We had a nice stroll, took in the night air, went to a gaudy restaurant, and took a man into custody against his will. He takes a drag on his cigarette. As jobs go, I've had worse. This is a lot to process, Fracture. Yes, I'm certain it is. For what it's worth, I think that you're handling the information rather well. In the past, there were others who were more rigid in their thinking. When I revealed myself to them, they reacted badly. I'm quite pleased that you haven't done the same. I don't necessarily like this one. Because while this is true, you can still hold them accountable for what they do. Especially Raptor, who is exceptionally aware of himself and his condition. It doesn't track that I can't hold him accountable if he does something shitty or like awful because of his condition. He should have it like under control, you know? So that's not right. But this is this. I don't judge my allies in what they are. It's what they do that counts. A woman after my own heart. I wish that others were so open-minded.
I am not a broken thing to be fixed. I'm exactly what I was meant to be. You don't know how rare it is to find others who accept me as such. And now, if you don't mind, I would like you to leave.
He turns back to his work desk.
There is work to be done.
Of course, Vector. Do your thing. We'll catch up after another run. Alright, Gaichu. Oh wait, did we get to do your personal quest right now? That would be exciting. The chopsticks are a simple affair. Black lacquer, obviously cheap and mass-produced. Whatever reason Gaichu has for keeping them, it isn't their age or quality. Taking a closer look at the chopsticks, it becomes apparent that they have seen some rough use. The lacquer near the tips is chipped and flaking away, revealing the wood beneath. The wood itself is stained a dark brown and is encrusted with something. Why did you keep these chopsticks? Gaichu bursts into unexpected laughter, almost dropping his sword as he doubles over. He manages to gasp out a sentence after a long moment.
Oh my goodness, I had forgotten those were in the box.
He takes a few deep breaths, composing himself. Raising his sword, Gaichu returns to his practice.
Tell me, have you ever heard of Tetsuya Nakamura?
It doesn't ring a bell.
He was a member of Shiawase's upper management for many years, running most of Shiawase Envirotech's agricultural development. A very bright star in the corporate world. He died in 2052, and those chopsticks are what I killed him with.
Wouldn't it have been easier to use a sword?
Yes, but getting near the man with a weapon would have been impossible. His bodyguards were very competent and very alert, and it is only due to several months of planning that we were able to arrange that moment of proximity to him. Improvisation is often necessary when in difficult situations. We had studied Nakamura's schedule painstakingly, particularly his twice-monthly trips to Neo-Tokyo. In Osaka, Shiawase's presence would have made any attempt on his life functionally impossible. In Neo-Tokyo, though, in studying his movement patterns, we discovered that he would eat at a particular French restaurant in Ginza every second trip, at precisely 8:30 in the evening. It seemed that he had a secret lover who lived in Roppongi, and he was visiting him during his business trips. Owing to this secrecy, he would give his bodyguards the night off when the two met. The restaurant in question was famous for its molecular gastronomy and the precision of their chefs, not to mention the view from the 38th floor. We managed to secure reservations near Nakamura's usual table, but only for two of us. It was decided that Sasuke and I would be the pair to kill Nakamura. Ishida and Aomori would wait one floor below, and Takagawa would keep watch from a nearby skyscraper. We carried small but high-powered pistols, as well as tactical knives. We expected it to be easy.
So what went wrong?
As I rose to draw my pistol on Nakamura, his lover somehow knew what was happening. He shrieked bloody murder and burst into flames. We discovered after the fact that he was a very powerful mage, but we hadn't discovered this in our surveillance. Somehow, he managed to throw a barrier over the two of them that deflected my bullets. When I pulled my knife, it had turned red hot. I was forced to drop it. Sasuke engaged him in a contest of wills. I am not sure how that kind of magic works, but could not shatter his barrier. She was too busy dodging the lightning bolts he was throwing, and since the flames had set off the fire system, well, it was not easy. Nakamura broke and ran, and I pursued him. He had a small holdout pistol, a PB-120 or something similar, and I grabbed the nearest weapon I could find.
Gaichu gestures toward you with the tip of his sword.
Those chopsticks. I slid them into his brainstem through the trachea. He died without making a sound, not that I would have been able to hear it over the sound of Aomori's machine gun, rattling away one floor below. Apparently the bodyguards were not truly given the night off and were still nearby.
What happened to Nakamura's lover? Gaichu chuckles, tilting his head up toward the ceiling as he recalls the memory.
Takagawa managed to punch through his barrier with a well-placed slug from across the street. It didn't kill him, but it broke his concentration. Sasuke finished the rest. With the windows blown out, we fast roped down the side of the building and disappeared into the night. It was not the cleanest job, but it was very memorable. I still remember the smell, ozone and bechamel, mixing with the cordite and Clicot.
I don't know. I skipped reading the caliber description there. I don't fucking know how to read that. I don't know how to verbalize that. I guess you would just do it like a 408. Because you... I don't know. I don't know. Examine the page. The page is old and the highly stylized calligraphy is handwritten. The style is so artistic, in fact, as to be functionally illegible to you. This page seems to be missing a book, Gaichu. Gaichu nods in agreement and steps forward to deliver a crosscut to the air in front of him.
Yes, but that page is all that I wanted from the book. I look out from the cloudless mountain at moonlight on the sea. Its islands, so many rents, in a sheet of ice.
Gaichu pivots on the ball of his heel, thrusting the tip of his sword into the darkness of the room.
The poet Saikyo.
Oh, I'm so burpy. I just had a really big dinner. Oh my goodness.
He was a master of conveying a sense of solitude and emptiness, and I have always found that poem to echo what I feel inside myself.
Are you the mountains or the islands?
So often it feels as if I am contained within a ball of ice, floating through the void of this life, cold and solitary. The moments I can share with those who have truly mattered to me chip through that frost, and let me scream out that I am not alone.
Alright. Cool. Hey, Gaichu. In the darkness of the cabin, Gaichu is hunched over a pile of keepsakes. He has unpacked most of his box, and the contents are lying strewn about the floor in a disorganized mass. The ghoul gingerly picks through them, turning each one over in his fingers as he feels their shapes. He addresses you without looking up.
Please mind your step, Alley Cat. I fear I have made a mess, and many of my possessions are quite delicate. I would be rather upset if you were to accidentally crush any under your feet.
After a moment, he places the one he holds, a small ceramic statuette of Daruma, to one side. Lifting his face, he touches his brow in salute.
I apologize for the mess.
Why have you got all this out on the floor? Gaichu gingerly begins collecting his things and arranging them back in the box.
I am simply thinking about the chain of events that have brought me to Hong Kong. I've been considering our talk about my former unit, about what my plans are with regard to their incessant hunt and need for closure. I began to think that I, too, need closure. An end not only to the hunt, but to our dance around the core issue. One of us must die, that the other might live. As it is, we are locked in stasis.
How do you plan to accomplish that?
That is the question that I have bent my mind to answering since last we spoke. It is not an easy question to answer. My initial thought was to strike at a secure Renraku holding, something valuable enough to draw the attention of the Red Samurai, and ensure that Renraku reported that a ghoul was involved in the mission. It turns out that was not necessary. I began searching the Shadowland BBS for any jobs against Renraku holdings here in Hong Kong.
Gaichu taps his braille reader with one toe.
It is surprisingly easy to use the Matrix when you can read postings with your fingers. Slower than direct interface, but certainly possible. I also began to offer a reward for information on Red Samurai teams known to be in the city. A modest reward, nothing that would attract too much attention, but enough to keep people interested.
Gaichu grins thinly, cradling his chin in one hand.
This bore fruit. A Red Samurai team arrived here a short time ago, smaller than normal size.
Sounds like it could be them.
It is definitely them. My contact described Ishida and Takagawa perfectly, as well as a new heavy gunner, most likely from another disgraced squad. What's more, he described a woman who looked exactly like Sasuke, but with a scar here, on her forehead.
Gaichu draws a finger down across his brow, over his right eye.
Precisely where I cut her.
How are you going to dry them out?
Simply put, I intend to lure the team into responding to an action they believe to be perpetrated by an ordinary Shadowrunner, and ambush them. Then I will kill them, all of them. Once that is done, I can be free. I have found a job I am certain will draw a Red Samurai response. Renraku is moving a prototype drone through Hong Kong, on the way to a research facility in Chiba. It is of a new design implementing machine learning and pseudo-intelligence.
Gaichu stands, smiling wryly.
Something that advance would certainly attract a Red Samurai team, should someone attempt to steal it.
How can you be certain?
Red Samurai are primarily proactive. The majority remain at the forge until dispatched across the world. Those that are not are assigned to guard high-value locations, black laboratories, secure research facilities, and major complexes. Hong Kong has none of these, as Renraku's facilities of that type are primarily located in Taiwan. My former unit will be the only one close enough to respond to the threat. The Johnson for this run is a Renraku scientist escorting the drone. He wishes to leave Renraku's employ, but is unwilling to risk reprisal should he escape on his own. To put it simply, he wishes to make it look like he was killed during a robbery, hence why he wishes the experimental drone to be stolen. If there is no body, there will be no investigation into his whereabouts.
So we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone? Gaichu inclines his head in agreement.
Precisely. I can rid myself of my pursuers, and he can be free of their yoke. While I owe this man no loyalty, I think I understand his sentiment. Besides, we will be receiving payment for a job.
Let me ask you some questions about the run before I agree to anything.
Very well.
Gaichu leans back, on his heels, lifting his chin.
What would you like to know?
How do you know it's not a trap?
A fair question, but one with a simple answer. Red Samurai are very risk-averse. Part of our training is to always put our lives on the line in defense of the company. Risking this drone in their quest for vengeance would be unthinkable.
Gaichu gestures at a stack of chips laying nearby.
I did my own digging. The shipping schedules line up perfectly to place the drone in Hong Kong. And Red Samurai would not have the authority to fake such records, unless ordered to by their superiors. As I am the unit's private shame, this would not become a larger corporate matter. There is no profit in killing me for the company, only for the unit.
How do you know the drone would rate a Red Samurai response?
Before I was infected, we escorted and guarded similar projects in the drone division. While I am unsure whether this one belongs to precisely the same research division, they are close enough to make Red Samurai involvement a certainty, in my opinion. Drone research is one of Renraku's main advantages over large megacorporations. Ares controls military hardware, Sadercrop has their heavy industry, and Renraku is the foremost drone development company in the world. No one else even comes close. Renraku will deploy Red Samurai to protect that advantage. Rely on it.
Are you certain you can take them on all by yourself? Gaichu shifts, running a hand over his bald head. He looks away, embarrassed.
Well, I was hoping you would help me. You and the rest of the team. I may be able to kill them all myself. It is possible. But as I said before, I intend to give myself every possible advantage. That includes you, Wu, Gobbet, and the rest of the team. More guns mean a higher chance of victory, and that is the proper way to lay a trap.
Sounds good to me. When do we leave?
As soon as you are ready, I will message Mr. Johnson to let him know that we are prepared to fake his murder and to be ready for our arrival. I suggest you prepare as well. The Red Samurai are excellent combatants, not to be taken lightly.
Oh, yay!